The following program is seen statewide on California Public Television.
California's green is supported by Edison International. Californians are getting to be old hands at year-round energy conservation, part of our special awareness of the resources we all depend on. We're making the change to energy-efficient light bulbs, keeping warm weather thermostats set to a comfortable 78 degrees, and giving major appliances the afternoon off. Because when it comes to energy conservation, it all adds up. Life, powered by Edison.
Well, hello everybody, I'm Huell Hauser, and this is my new car. I'm really proud of it. It needs to be washed, but other than that, I really like to stand here and look at it. This is one of those new hybrid SUVs. I just got it. I get good gas mileage. It rides. It has a real good smooth ride to it with a lot of zip, a lot of get up and go. And of course, when I'm driving this car, I feel like I'm making a difference. I'm very politically correct. Now, this hybrid, along with hydrogen cars and electric cars, these are the cars of our future. This is very exciting technology, new technology. But is it really all that new? That's what this adventure is all about. We're getting ready to go back in time to look at some new technology that ends up being old. Old technology that is very green. Okay, we are starting our green car adventure, and to do so we have come to one of the, well, this is a beautiful setting. This is one of the best car collections not only in California, but anywhere in the entire United States. Skip, let everybody know where we're standing right now.
Huell, you're here in the Nethercutt Collection, the Nethercutt Museum in Sylmar, California. Like you said, one of the premier automobile museums in the world. We have over 240 automobiles, most on exhibit from 1898 through the 1960s.
It's an amazing setting too. You have them all shined up and on display. You have two huge buildings here. This is open to the public, and I'm sure that you have lots of people coming through here in awe of the cars they see.
All the cars are restored to their absolute as-new condition.
Boy, they are so shiny you could shave in the reflection of these cars. But we are not here to talk about shiny old cars. We are here to talk about new car technology that ends up being old. And we have definitely, for that, come to the right place. Okay, we've come outside the building and we're standing in front of this beautiful little red car right here, and let's just set the stage. All of us think electric cars are state-of-the-art, pushing the envelope on technology. This is an electric car, and it dates back to
1914. It's a Rouse Lang electric, and it was built in Cleveland, Ohio.
But now this wasn't even the earliest electric car.
No.
There were many before this?
Yeah, before this, there were cars from the turn of the century.
That
from
were electric?
1900s, yeah.
All electric?
All electric.
Okay, let's look at this one. This one is 1914.
1914.
It's got California 6311 horseless carriage on the front.
Right, that's a special plate for the horseless carriage cars in California.
All right, let's open this baby up and see I guess we're going to see the batteries, right?
See the batteries up, yeah, the batteries up front and the rear, but
oh boy, there they are. Now these are new batteries.
these are new batteries. The batteries that were original to this car are not available. They were glass case batteries with wooden structures between them, and they're just not available anymore.
But the batteries would have filled this area right here.
They would indeed.
Now, was this a big deal? Were electric cars considered a big deal back when they came on the scene?
Well, they were easy to drive. They were known as ladies' cars. Little old lady from Pasadena originally drove an electric car. She didn't drive a GTO.
So it was marketed to women.
Yes, exactly. And when you see the interior of this car, you'll understand that. It's very ladylike.
Well, let's look at the interior. Now, there would have been batteries in the front.
And
There
in
would
the
have
back.
been batteries back here, just like the same thing. So
Right.
there would have been front and back batteries.
Yes.
Then we go inside. Oh boy, this has a good feel to it. Let's look in there and, oh, this is definitely a feminine interior.
It is indeed.
That is so plush.
It's beautiful.
And it's like these are like a little love seat in here. And look at the way the door, is this all the way it
That's
would have?
restored to its absolute original condition. This lace tape, this is a window lift. This lifts the window up and down, and the material is correct also.
Wow. It's got a good sturdy.
Yeah. It's
I hope I'm not putting my fingerprint on it. You
don't worry
mind
about
that,
it.
do you?
Not at all.
Now, how many of these were sold? How big a deal were electric cars in the
There-
early part of the century?
There were thousands, literally thousands of these cars sold. They sold from, I'd say, 1905 and 6 through almost to the 20s.
Were they more expensive than the regular combustion engine?
No, they were about the same. They had their limitations, however. You couldn't travel cross country in an electric car. It's a town car. It's a car for maybe 40 miles. You
So people would still have to plug them in.
plug them in, and each car came with a large battery charger, and that was the routine. Every night you plugged it in and charged your batteries for the next day.
All right, it's one thing to look at this car. It's another to get in it and hit the road. Okay, we are off on our electric car ride, circa 1914, and it is smooth. You can't hear anything. It's all electric. We're speeding down the highway, John. How fast are we going?
Oh, probably about 10 miles an hour.
Now, what was the max back then?
At 20 to 25 maximum.
So this really was a car to go around town.
Yes, exactly. City speed limits, of course, were a lot lower than they were out on the highway, so it wasn't that much of a concern, only doing 25 miles an hour.
And this car was so quiet, it probably didn't even scare the horses, did
No,
it?
I'm sure it didn't.
Now, I'm watching you drive this car. First off, there's no steering wheel on this car. What is this thing called?
It's called a tiller.
A tiller.
It took the place of the steering wheel. You just push the lever forward to turn to the left, pull it back to turn right.
Now, why wouldn't they have a steering wheel on the car?
Well, mainly because of the configuration of the vehicle. Sitting in the back seat, it didn't really lend itself well to have a steering wheel in the way.
We are sitting in the back seat.
That's right.
Why?
Well, it just...
You're driving from the back seat.
That's just the way the car was configured, so that all the controls and everything worked properly, and it gave you the best visibility. It gave room for a couple of passengers in the front.
And that's kind of bizarre. There are two seats in front where people would have been sitting and basically blocking the view for the driver out the front window.
That's right. You had to look around them in order to see.
Now, what's this you've got your left hand on over here?
That's the throttle control.
So how does that work?
Well, you push it forward for a faster forward speed, and then when you come to a stop, you pull it back to neutral, and then if you want to reverse, you push a lever with your heel and pull it back, and the vehicle will reverse.
So this was about as simple as it comes. This was an easy car to manufacture and to learn how to drive.
That's very true. Yeah, very few moving parts as compared to an internal combustion car.
Easy car to maintain.
Yes. Very little maintenance. You have a speed control switch that needed some lubing, batteries that needed some watering occasionally, and of course you had to keep up on your tires and the pressure in them, but beyond that there really wasn't much to do to it.
Now when people come in the museum and tour the museum, are they surprised that they made electric cars that many years ago?
Yes, they are. You know, they went out of use by the late 20s at the latest, so a lot of people didn't even have a clue that electrics were used in the early 1900s.
Well, now we're moving. This is a nice old riding car here.
Yeah, it's fully suspended, and it rides real well down the roads. Of course, the roads of the day would have been considerably rougher than this. Even though we hit a few bumps here and there, they would have been a lot worse.
Yeah. Well, there's certainly a definite feel to being in this car, isn't there? And
Oh,
it
it
has
sure
its
is.
own presence to it.
Yeah, it sure does. It sits up kind of high, you know. At times we kind of call it a phone booth on wheels because of the way it sits, but it does pretty well.
Well, from the electric car, and boy, that was a nice ride too, Skip. We are moving now. We're into phase 2, and I'm not sure what we're looking at right now, but I think it's important in the evolutionary process, isn't it?
Yes, Huel, this is a 1921 Owen Magnetic hybrid.
Hybrid.
It's a electric transmission and a gasoline engine.
Well, now, wait a minute. That's what I'm driving now.
See, there's nothing new. Everything is just recycled. This was state of the art in 1920.
So wait a minute, they were making hybrid cars, combination electric and gasoline motors, as early as 1920.
Earlier than that, even in 1915, they developed this concept. It was called an ENTZ transmission, an ENTZ, and it was more of a development of an automatic transmission than it was a hybrid green car.
They weren't thinking green or environmental.
Not at all.
This was just a practical thing.
They wanted ease of operation, and that's what this has. It's controlled by one lever on the steering column.
Now, how many of these were sold? Boy, that's a beautiful car too.
I think there were over 1,000 of these sold.
We've come back inside the museum because you've got a cutaway of this car in here that shows how this engine works. This is very interesting, even for someone who doesn't really know that much about cars.
Yeah, it's a display chassis. We've opened up the transmission, taking the cover off of it, and put on a plexiglass cover so that the public can see how the electric motor works, the generator.
So wait a minute, this is the electrical part of it.
Yeah, this is all electrical.
So this electric feeds in to the gas engine up here.
Backwards, the other way around. The gas engine drives the generator that drives the transmission, and there's no mechanical coupling between the engine and the differential. It's electrical.
Okay, we're in the car. Roger is getting ready to turn it on and show us how this baby works. There it goes. It's on. Wait a minute, there's no sound.
No, you won't hear any sound. On the controller, I'm going to put it at start.
So you're shifting it. There it goes.
There, and we're ready to go.
All right, let's head out of the parking lot here.
And we put it in 1.
Wow. So you're shifting gears up here on the steering wheel.
Yes, this increases or decreases the magnetism. And we control the speed by the accelerator pedal on the floor. When we stop, I put it in neutral. When we're ready to go again, put it in 1. Go down to 2, 3, 4, and there's high gear.
And what is this called?
This is the controller,
The controller.
and it controls the amount of current going to the transmission. See it progressively, can you hear it progressively change?
Yeah.
Now we're into like a fourth gear, and then into direct drive.
So when you're out on the open road, you're using the basic gasoline combustion engine.
Right. And you control the speed by accelerating or deaccelerating. And what's interesting about this, it does freewheel. There is no compression, so if you want to help stop the car, I move this controller to neutral, and this B is a brake. Now feel that braking?
Now this is more complicated than that electric car.
Well, yes, a little more sophisticated, but it's more flexible, and it's very simple to drive. just accelerator, brake, and it's all control from the steering column.
So what was the appeal of this car?
Well, the smoothness, the control, you didn't have to declutch, you didn't have to synchronize gears. It was just ease of control.
He shifted it down to third, down to fourth. Then you're going to shift it down to
High gear,
high gear.
which is
So-
like a direct drive.
You put it in high gear and away we go. Wow. Boy, now when you're riding in this car, you feel like you got a good piece of machinery underneath.
Yeah, now see it accelerate, and it'll really get up and go. It'll do probably 65 very easily. A gas engine, an electric motor, and it's a very simple design.
So this wasn't brain surgery.
No, it wasn't. They already had gas engines, they already had electric motors, and Mr. Entz connected the two together and came up with this design.
So we're going to drive in first.
Right, but we can speed it up. I could even put it in high gear and watch it lug the engine. See what that's doing?
Wow.
Or back into first gear, and
You have
doesn't
fun
work.
driving this car, don't you?
Oh, very much so. It's very easy, and it doesn't steer too bad. It doesn't have power steering, but it's pretty direct and operates very nice. It's a pleasure to drive, really. And I think if they had continued on with this transmission, we might be driving cars today that had electric transmissions other than oil or hydraulic transmissions that we have today. And for the economy, save on a lot of oil. There's no oil in this transmission. It's just all electric and a couple of bearings, and that's it. Very simple.
From electric to hybrid to
Steam.
steam.
Yes, this is a 1925 Doble steam car. True California car, built in Emeryville, California, and the body was built by Murphy Coach Builders in Pasadena, California.
So we got a California-built steam car from 1925, but you said they'd been building steam cars for years before that.
From the 1880s at least, and there were earlier steam machines that moved armaments and things like that, but the steam automobiles from about the 1880s.
Wow. Now let's open this. Let's get right to it. Arnold is there for a reason. He's going to be driving us around in this steam car, but he's also going to turn this thing on for us, and this is amazing. First, should we just turn it on and see what happens?
Yeah.
There's a flame. What is this?
This is a boiler. This is what makes the steam. There's water circulating through that big boiler, and this is the flamethrower. It actually throws flame around the circulating water, generates steam, which is piped back to the engine and makes the car move.
When he turns the ignition key, what happens?
He's starting a blower motor down here, and he's also, this is a spark plug.
Look at this little spark plug right here.
You don't really want to do this in your modern car. Put your spark plug right by your carburetor.
Wow, and this is blowing flame into this. Now, why did he cut it off?
Because he's up to pressure. He's had it running for quite a while, so it's up to pressure now. It's 800 pounds of pressure that can last for hours.
So this car is pressurized
Yes.
and ready to go.
Ready to go, yeah. The Doble steam car was unique among steam cars because of this blower system. It was called superheat.
Well,
And-
how many cars would have flamethrowers underneath the hood?
exactly. You could start the fire, light the fire, and drive away in 90 seconds.
Wow,
That-
that's how long it took
That's how long
to
it-
get it up to pressure.
Yes,
And we got how much pressure in there?
800 pounds.
Arnold, are you ready?
We actually have 900 pounds of pressure.
900 pounds of pressure and growing.
Yeah, we're ready to go.
We're off. Now, right off the bat, my first, oh my gosh. It sounds like we're riding in a furnace.
It is.
The noise it's making.
Yeah, when the burner comes on, it really is, it's 2 million BTUs of
Oh,
flamethrower.
Does this thing get hot?
Yeah, definitely a winter car.
Listen to this. It sounds like a gas furnace going.
Exactly what it is. It's because it's a carburetor with a Scirocco blower blowing up through the carburetor, and then it's ignited with a spark plug in the carburetor.
Oh my gosh. Now, back to my first question. There are 2 steering wheels here.
Yeah. Well, this is a throttle wheel and a steering wheel. Jay Leno has one of these. He tells people the little wheels for little corners, the big wheels for big corners.
So wait a minute, this is the...
Throttle wheel, that controls the speed. There's no foot throttle. I am opening this to accelerate. So the more I open it, the faster we go.
So this is your accelerator right here.
Exactly. There's no foot pedal, no foot throttle.
And this is your steering wheel.
Exactly.
Well, this was revolutionary, wasn't it? I mean, this was high tech.
Yeah, well, they did this for safety. It has a lock and a key because they're worried about a runaway, because you have 1,000 pounds of torque at virtually 1 RPM.
Now, are we running on, what are we running on right now?
Well, we're running on steam pressure. We've got 950 pounds of steam.
And how long will that last us if we're out on the road?
This car has a range of 1,500 miles on a tank of water and about 500 miles on a tank of fuel.
Now, why aren't all cars run this way now?
Well, because the sheer elaborate system to run this car, it's, to make and maintain the steam to do this kind of pressure and speed.
Boy, the sound of this.
And in this car, it's called a draft booster that was added into it. Howard Hughes owned this car, and he did over 130 miles an hour in this car in 1925.
Wait a minute, Howard Hughes owned this particular car?
Yeah, it was custom built for him. Murphy Coach Builders was commissioned by him to build this disappearing top Murphy Roadster for him.
That's why this is a California car. It's
Exactly.
a Howard Hughes California car.
Exactly.
Whoa!
Yeah, see, it's got a lot of acceleration.
It's a steamer, all right.
Yeah. Well, just the way it's configured now, it'll average 75 to 80 miles an hour going down the freeway easily and maintain this kind of pressure.
Wow. Now this is riding in a car.
Yeah, it's a high-performance steam car.
Now in the old days, in the early days of automobiles, the idea of a steam car was not that foreign. People were used to steam cars.
Exactly. Well, because of steam locomotives. From the 1800s, that was the technology then.
Yeah.
And then, people were coupling them into automobiles.
It made logical sense
Exactly.
to use the steam engine.
Yeah, everybody was geared up. Most mechanics knew how to work on a steam engine.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. We're gonna get, and there goes the steam. Boy, it does sound like a steam furnace, a gas furnace going.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's really to the extreme.
Okay, here we go. We're full throttle right now. The steam definitely kicked in.
It definitely does. The problem is it only has two-wheel rear brakes. So it's kind of hard to stop. Two-wheel mechanical rear brakes. It's not like a modern car with four-wheel power brakes.
It's still hissing.
It's still got steam power.
It's still got steam going in there.
Yes, it does.
Well, I got to tell you, as much as I enjoyed riding in the other two cars, fellas, don't take this the wrong way, but I enjoyed this one the most. Whoa, this is warm too. It's hot.
Yeah, it's very hot.
This car's on fire. This has been absolutely amazing.
Great. I'm
And
glad
you know,
you enjoyed it.
I feel good about driving my hybrid.
Yeah.
But what is so interesting is that you have taken us back in time with this electric car, this hybrid car, this steam-driven car, to show that this technology has been around for a long time. They've always been kind of pushing the envelope, haven't
Yes,
they?
and the internal combustion engine won the battle, but now it's being changed. The hybrid cars and electric cars will probably be our cars of the future.
Why did
perhaps.
the combustion car win out over these?
It was more reliable and less maintenance and easier to manufacture. That's basically it.
So it was economics.
Yeah, economics. Henry Ford built 10 million Model Ts.
Yeah.
I mean, they couldn't have probably have built 10 million steam cars.
Yeah. Well, Howard Hughes built this one.
Yes, he did.
But this cost him a pretty penny to
Yes,
build.
it was. It was very expensive.
Well, this has been very interesting, I think, for all of us, because it is interesting to see the direction cars are moving in toward.
Right.
You know, we're always pushing and changing and evolving, but this evolving nature of our cars has been going on for a long time, since the beginning
Yes.
of cars.
Yeah, since the 1880s, indeed.
And it's still going today.
Still going.
Who knows what we're going to be driving 50 years from now? Well, I won't be driving anything 50 years from now, but thank you, fellas, for giving us the ride around the place. Thank you, sir, for introducing us to these
so
wonderful old cars at the Nethercutt Museum. This has been kind of a step forward and a step back and then a step forward again into the technology of automobiles. It's all part of the story of keeping our driving and our automobiles green. Do that again for me. Well, hello everybody, I'm Huell Howser, and I sure hope you enjoyed this green adventure. If you'd like to see it again, share it with family or friends, or perhaps donate a copy to your local school or library. It's available on video cassette and on DVD. All you have to do is call 1-800-266-5727, and we'll be glad to send it to you right away.
California's Green is supported by Edison International. As a national leader in the use of renewable energy, we understand the important role solar, wind, and other renewable sources play in meeting California's environmental goals. That's why Edison International not only supports the increased use of renewable energy in California, but is working hard to make sure this green energy becomes even more available in the years ahead. Life powered by Edison.